They bound her wrists with silver chains and dragged her before the Council of Elders. Astrid Thornberg stood in the center of the stone circle, her knees scraping against the cold floor as they forced her down. Elder Bjorn's voice boomed across the hall. Wolfless. Defective. A stain upon the Thornberg bloodline. Her execution was set for dawn. But what they didn't know, what nobody could have predicted, was that the very power they condemned her for lacking was about to awaken in a form not seen in over 300 years. Before we continue with Astrid's story, I need you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications, because stories like these, stories about the underestimated rising to claim their true power, these are what we share here every single day. And tell me the city you are watching from so that I can send you a hug. Now let's get back to the moment that changed everything. The morning of Astrid's 18th birthday should have been a celebration. In the pack lands of Valdemar, coming of age meant your first shift, the moment when your wolf finally emerged and you claimed your place in the hierarchy. For weeks, Astrid had felt the stirring inside her, that restless energy that all young wolves described before their transformation. Her mother, Freya, had assured her it would happen any day. But days turned to weeks turned to months, and still nothing. The whispers started in the market square. Have you heard about the Thornberg girl? 18 years old and still no wolf. Her father, Gunnar Thornberg, was a decorated warrior, third in command of the pack's defense force. Her mother came from a line of healers whose wolves were known for their unusual silver markings. But Astrid, she was an anomaly, an embarrassment. The other young wolves her age had already shifted. Thyra Eriksson had transformed at 17. Her russet wolf lean and fast. Viggo Anderson shifted at 16. His massive black wolf earning him immediate respect. Even little Signa Larsson, barely 15, had found her wolf during the harvest moon. But not Astrid. She spent her days working in her mother's healing gardens, grinding herbs and mixing tinctures, trying to ignore the pitying looks from the pack members who came for remedies. She spent her nights alone in the forest, begging whatever force controlled such things to let her wolf emerge. Please, I know you're in there. Can feel you. Why won't you show yourself? The silence inside her mind was deafening. Then came the summons. 3 weeks after her 19th birthday, the Council of Elders demanded her presence. Her father tried to protest. She just needs more time. Some wolves are late bloomers. But Elder Bjorn was unmoved. 19 years is not late, Gunnar. It is absent. The girl is wolfless, and you know what our laws demand. Astrid knew the laws too. Every pack member did. Wolfless individuals were considered liabilities, unable to defend the pack, unable to contribute to the strength of the bloodline. They were cast out at best. At worst, they were eliminated to prevent their weakness from spreading. The ancient laws were brutal, forged in times when packs fought for survival against both human hunters and rival wolves. Mercy was a luxury they couldn't afford. The night before the council hearing, Astrid's mother came to her room. Freya's eyes were red from crying. She pressed a small leather pouch into Astrid's hand. Wolfsbane and silver leaf. If they rule against you, if they try to imprison you, use this. It will give you a quick death, painless. Better than what they might do. Astrid stared at the pouch. Is there no other way? Her mother's voice broke. I've searched every text, consulted every elder who would speak to me. Some wolves simply never emerge. Maybe you were meant for a different path. Maybe in another time, another place, you would have been valued for your mind, your healing skills, your kind heart. But not here. Not in Valdemar. That night, Astrid didn't sleep. She sat by her window, watching the moon track across the sky, and whispered to the silent presence inside her. If you're real, if you exist at all, tomorrow would be a really good time to make an appearance. Otherwise, this is the end for both of us. The council chamber was a circular room carved from ancient stone, open to the sky above. The 5 elders sat on raised seats, their faces grave. Elder Bjorn in the center, flanked by Elder Ingrid, Elder Magnus, Elder Runa, and Elder Leaf. Behind them stood the pack's alpha, Thorgrim the Unyielding, a massive man whose brown wolf was said to be the size of a small horse. Astrid was brought in with silver chains on her wrists. Silver burned against wolf's skin, a reminder of submission. But for her it just felt like cold metal. Another sign of her deficiency. Elder Bjorn spoke first. Astrid Thornberg, daughter of Gunnar and Freya, you stand before this council accused of being wolfless. You have passed your 19th year without shifting. You have undergone the ceremonial rites. You have been given every opportunity to prove your wolf's existence. Yet still you remain human. How do you answer this charge? What was there to say? I've tried. I've prayed. I've begged the universe to let me be normal. Astrid lifted her chin. I have no wolf to show you, Elder. But I have served this pack with every breath in my body. I have healed the sick. I have tended the wounded. I have given everything I have to Valdemar. Elder Ingrid's voice was cold. Healing is work for the weak. What happens when enemies attack? Will you throw herbs at them? Will you ask them politely to stop? The other elders murmured agreement. Elder Magnus leaned forward. The law is clear. Those without wolves cannot remain in the pack. They are human and humans are prey. We cannot risk our secrets, our safety, for one defective individual. Astrid's father stepped forward from where he'd been standing against the wall. She is not defective. She is my daughter. Give her more time, please. Elder Bjorn's eyes were hard. Your loyalty to your blood is admirable, Gunnar. But it clouds your judgment. The girl is 19. There will be no more time. This council finds Astrid Thornberg wolfless and therefore unfit to remain in Valdemar. The punishment for such a condition, as laid out in our most ancient laws, is death by silver blade at dawn. The words hung in the air like a death knell. Astrid's mother screamed. Her father lunged forward, restrained by 2 guards. And Astrid felt something inside her crack open. Not fear. Not despair. Rage. Pure, incandescent, burning rage. She had spent 19 years trying to be good enough. Trying to prove her worth. Swallowing every insult, every pitying look, every whisper behind her back. She had bent herself into shapes to fit their expectations, had sacrificed her pride, her dignity, everything, for a pack that now deemed her disposable. And something inside her responded to that rage. It started as heat in her chest, spreading outward like wildfire through her veins. Astrid gasped, falling to her knees. The silver chains around her wrists began to smoke. What is this? What's happening to me? Elder Bjorn stood. Guards, take her to the holding cell until dawn. But as the guards approached, Astrid's body convulsed. The heat intensified, becoming unbearable. She screamed, and the sound that came out was not entirely human. It was deeper, wilder, a howl that shook the very stones of the council chamber. Her bones began to break and reform. Her skin rippled. The transformation that should have happened years ago was finally beginning, but it was nothing like the smooth shifts she'd witnessed from other young wolves. This was violent, chaotic, as if her wolf had been caged for so long that it was now exploding free with the force of years of suppression. The guards backed away. The elders rose from their seats. And Alpha Thorgrim's eyes went wide with something Astrid had never seen on his face before. Fear. Because as her body twisted and reformed, as fur erupted across her skin and her face elongated into a muzzle, the color that emerged was impossible. Her fur was white, pure luminous moonlit white. Not silver like some wolves had. Not the pale cream of winter coats. But true white, the white of fresh snow, the white of legends, the white that hadn't been seen since the days of the first pack. Astrid's consciousness fragmented and reformed. The human part of her mind receded, and something ancient took its place. Her wolf was awake, and she was massive. Easily twice the size of a normal female wolf, rivaling even the alpha in sheer presence. Power radiated from her in waves that made the torches flicker. The transformation completed. Where Astrid had knelt in chains now stood a white wolf of legendary proportions, her eyes burning gold, her teeth bared in a snarl that promised violence to anyone who dared approach. Elder Runa's voice was barely a whisper. The white wolf. The prophecy was true. Elder Bjorn looked like he might faint. Impossible. The white wolf is a myth. A story to tell children. But Elder Ingrid was shaking her head, backing away. Well, the old texts speak of it. A wolf of pure white, born once every 500 years, marked by the moon goddess herself. A wolf whose power exceeds even the strongest alpha. A wolf who emerges only in times of great need to lead the packs through their darkest hour. Astrid's wolf threw back her head and howled, and every wolf within 10 miles felt it. The call resonated in their bones, in their blood, a summons they couldn't ignore. This was not a normal howl. This was a declaration. I'm here. I'm awake. And I will not be silenced again. Alpha Thorgrim shifted into his own wolf form, his brown coat bristling. For a moment, it seemed he might challenge her, might try to assert his dominance. But as he approached, Astrid's white wolf simply looked at him, and something in that golden gaze made him stop, made him lower his head, made him, for the first time in his reign as Alpha, submit. The guards had fled. The elders remained frozen in their seats. And Astrid's parents watched with tears streaming down their faces as their daughter, their supposedly wolfless daughter, stood revealed as something out of ancient legend. The white wolf turned her gaze to Elder Bjorn. Even without words, the message was clear. You tried to execute me for being weak. Shall we test that theory now? Elder Bjorn couldn't meet her eyes. Forgive us. We didn't know. We couldn't have known. But Astrid's wolf was not interested in forgiveness. Not yet. She had 19 years of pain to work through. 19 years of being called defective, worthless, a stain on her bloodline. The rage that had triggered her transformation still burned hot. She padded forward, her massive paws silent on the stone. Elder Magnus tried to stand, to run, but her speed was impossible. She was beside him in an instant, her jaws inches from his throat. One snap and he would be dead. The old laws he'd been so eager to invoke would be satisfied with blood for blood. But then she heard her mother's voice. Astrid, please. I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But this isn't you. Don't let them turn you into a monster. Don't let their cruelty poison your heart. The white wolf paused. Freya approached slowly, her hands raised. My daughter. My beautiful, powerful daughter. I'm so sorry we didn't see you. I'm so sorry we made you feel like you were less than. But you are more. You are so much more than any of us imagined. Something in Freya's words reached through the rage. Astrid's wolf turned to look at her mother, really look at her, and saw the love there. The genuine remorse. And slowly, painfully, she forced herself to step back from Elder Magnus. The shift back to human form was easier this time. Within moments, Astrid stood naked in the center of the council chamber. Her body unmarked despite the violence of her transformation. Someone threw a cloak around her shoulders. She pulled it tight and faced the elders. Her voice, when she spoke, carried the echo of her wolf's power. You condemned me. You chained me. You sentenced me to death. All because I didn't fit into your narrow definition of what a wolf should be. Maybe my wolf knew what this pack had become. Maybe she was protecting us both from revealing ourselves to people who would fear what they couldn't control. Elder Bjorn found his voice. The white wolf is sacred to our people. If we had known what you were, if there had been any sign, we would never have thought to harm you. Astrid's laugh was bitter. That's the problem, isn't it? You only value me now because I'm powerful. Yesterday I was worthless. Today I'm sacred. But I'm the same person I was 24 hours ago. The only thing that changed is that now you're afraid of me. Alpha Thorgrim had shifted back to human form. His voice was gruff but held a note of respect. What would you have us do? Astrid considered. Part of her wanted to burn the whole corrupt system down. To take her power and leave Valdemar to rot in its own prejudice. But another part of her, the part that had spent years healing the sick and tending the wounded, couldn't abandon the innocent pack members who'd done nothing wrong. Things are going to change. The old laws about wolfless individuals will be abolished. No one will be executed for being different. You will learn to value pack members for more than just their wolf strength. Healers, scholars, craftspeople, they all have worth. And if any elder disagrees, well, they're welcome to challenge me for leadership. No one moved. No one dared. But Astrid pulled the cloak tighter. Now get these chains off me. I have 19 years of living to catch up on. The weeks that followed were chaotic. Word spread through the pack about the White Wolf's emergence, and reactions were mixed. Some pack members were awed, viewing Astrid as a chosen one, blessed by the moon goddess. Others were resentful that someone they'd dismissed as worthless now held such power. And a few, the most traditional wolves, viewed her emergence as a threat to the natural order. Astrid moved through it all with growing confidence. Her wolf was not silent anymore. They communicated constantly. Two aspects of one soul finally united. Her wolf's name came to her in a dream. Skadi, after the ancient goddess of winter and independence. Fitting for a wolf whose fur was the color of snow. She discovered that her power went beyond just size and strength. When she howled, she could compel other wolves to shift or hold their form. When she focused, she could sense the emotions of pack members around her, their fears and hopes laid bare. And when she touched other wolves, she could share her strength with them, healing injuries that would normally take days to recover from. The council, humbled by their near-fatal mistake, offered her a position as an elder. Astrid refused. I'm 19 years old. I have no interest in sitting in judgment of others. But I will advise you. And I will speak up when I see injustice. That will have to be enough. What she did accept was the role of protector. Valdemar had been at peace for years, but neighboring packs were growing aggressive, pushing boundaries, testing defenses. With Astrid's emergence, those challenges intensified. Other alphas wanted to see the legendary White Wolf for themselves, to determine if she was threat or opportunity. The first challenge came from the Nordgard pack, led by Alpha Soren, a brutal wolf known for conquering smaller packs and absorbing them into his territory. He sent a messenger demanding Astrid's presence at a neutral meeting ground. Come alone, the message read, or we will assume Valdemar is too weak to protect its treasures. Astrid's father was furious. It's a trap. Soren has no honor. He'll bring his entire pack and try to take you by force. Maybe. But if I don't go, he'll see it as weakness and attack anyway. At least this way I control the terms. She went to the meeting ground at dawn, a clearing marked by ancient standing stones. Soren was waiting with 20 of his wolves, all in human form but radiating aggression. He was a large man, scarred from countless battles. His eyes cold and calculating. So you're the White Wolf everyone's talking about. You don't look very impressive as a human. Astrid smiled. Looks can be deceiving. What do you want, Soren? What I want is to know if the legends are true. If you really are touched by the moon goddess, or if you're just an albino wolf with good publicity. Shift for me. Let me see what Valdemar is hiding. And if I refuse, then I'll assume you're a fraud, and my pack will crush Valdemar before the next full moon. Astrid pretended to consider. Around her, Soren's wolves were tensing, preparing to shift if she made any aggressive move. She could sense their emotions, anticipation, bloodlust, and beneath it all, fear. They didn't want to admit it, but they were terrified of what she might be. She let the shift take her, smooth and controlled this time. Skadi emerged in all her glory, white fur gleaming in the morning sun, gold eyes fixed on Soren. She was even larger than she'd been during her first transformation, as if her wolf was still growing into her full power. The reaction was immediate. Soren's wolves backed away. Several of them couldn't help but shift into their own wolf forms, submissive postures automatic in the face of her presence. And Soren himself, proud Alpha Soren who'd conquered a dozen packs, actually stumbled backward. Astrid padded forward until she was close enough that her breath ruffled his hair. She could kill him right now. One snap of her jaws and Valdemar's greatest threat would be eliminated. But that would make her no better than the council had been, using violence as the first solution to every problem. Instead, she shifted back, standing naked and unashamed before him. The legends are true. I am the White Wolf. I am touched by the moon goddess. And I am Valdemore's protector. You can challenge me if you want, Soren. You can try to take me by force. But ask yourself, do you really want to be the alpha who died trying to cage the moon? Soren stared at her for a long moment. Then slowly he lowered his head. No challenge. Nordgard acknowledges the White Wolf. We will honor Valdemore's boundaries. Mar choice. Astrid turned to walk away, then paused. One more thing. The packs you've conquered, the ones you absorbed into Nordgard against their will. Give them the choice to stay or form their own packs again. Real strength doesn't come from forced submission. Soren's jaw clenched. And if I refuse, then I'll make you. And trust me, you don't want that. She left him there, seething but cowed. As she walked back through the forest toward Valdemore, she felt Scotty's satisfaction. We did well. We protected without killing. That is true power. The challenges kept coming. Alpha after alpha testing her, trying to determine if she was as powerful as the rumors claimed. Each time, Astrid walked the knife's edge between showing strength and showing mercy. She fought when necessary, using her size and power to dominate opponents without killing them. She negotiated when possible, using her newfound authority to broker peace between warring packs. And slowly, grudgingly, the other packs began to accept her. The White Wolf was real. She was powerful, and she was changing the rules. But not everyone was pleased with the new order. Within Valdemore itself, resistance was brewing. Viggo Anderson, the young wolf whose early shift had made him arrogant, gathered a group of traditionalists. They met in secret in the deep forest, complaining about how Astrid was making the pack weak with her mercy and her reforms. She should have executed the elders who condemned her. That's what a true alpha would do. Instead, she forgives them. She lets them keep their positions. It's pathetic. Thyra Eriksson, ever the voice of reason, argued back. She's showing that power doesn't have to corrupt, that we can be strong without being cruel. Isn't that better? But Viggo wasn't interested in better. He wanted the old ways, where might made right and the strong could dominate the weak without consequence. He began plotting a challenge, gathering supporters, waiting for the right moment to strike. Astrid knew about the dissent. Her empathic abilities made secrets nearly impossible to keep from her. But she chose not to act preemptively. Let them plot. Let them scheme. When they're ready to challenge me openly, I'll deal with it. Crushing them now would only prove their point that power corrupts. The confrontation came during the autumn gathering, when the entire pack assembled for the harvest celebration. Viggo stood before the crowd and issued his challenge. Astrid Thornburg, I, Viggo Anderson, challenge your right to influence this pack. You speak of mercy, but mercy is weakness. You speak of change, but change makes us vulnerable. I challenge you to single combat. If you win, I will submit. If I win, the old ways return. The crowd went silent. Alpha Thorgrim looked ready to intervene, but Astrid held up a hand. She walked forward until she stood before Viggo. He was large for his age, his black wolf known for its ferocity. But standing before her, he suddenly looked very young. I accept your challenge. But let's make this interesting. You fight to preserve the old ways, where the weak are cast out and the strong dominate. I fight for the new way, where every pack member has value. Winner takes all. Agreed. Agreed. Viggo's confidence faltered slightly. He'd expected her to refuse, to claim that fighting was beneath her. But Astrid understood what this moment really was. A test. Not just of her physical power, but of her willingness to back up her ideals with action. They shifted simultaneously. Viggo's black wolf was impressive, easily twice the size of an average wolf. But Scotty was massive, her white fur glowing in the autumn twilight. The contrast was stark. Darkness and light, old and new, tradition and change. Viggo attacked first, using his speed to try to catch her off guard. But Astrid had been training with her wolf every day since her emergence, learning her capabilities, testing her limits. She dodged his lunge effortlessly, using his momentum against him to send him tumbling. He recovered quickly, circling her, looking for an opening. She didn't give him one. Every move he made she countered. Every feint she saw through. It wasn't just that she was larger and stronger. She was simply better. The fight lasted less than 5 minutes. Astrid pinned him to the ground, her jaws around his throat, and waited. Submit or I end this permanently. Through their wolves she could feel his emotions. Rage, humiliation, and beneath it all, fear. He truly believed he could win, that his traditional strength would triumph over her mercy. But now, with death inches away, he finally understood. Her mercy wasn't weakness. It was a choice she made from a position of absolute power. To submit. His wolf's voice in her mind was small, defeated. Astrid released him and stepped back. She shifted to human form, standing over him as he remained in wolf form, too stunned to shift back. To the assembled pack she spoke clearly. This is what I offer Valdemar. Strength without cruelty. Power without oppression. A pack where everyone has value, not just the warriors. If anyone else wants to challenge that vision, I'll be here. But know this. I will always fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. That is my purpose. That is my calling. The pack erupted in howls of approval. Even those who'd been skeptical couldn't deny what they'd witnessed. The white wolf was not just powerful. She was right. In the months that followed, Astrid's influence spread beyond Valdemar. Other packs, hearing about her reforms, began implementing similar changes. The brutal practice of executing wolfless individuals was abandoned across the region. Healers and craftspeople gained new respect. Young wolves who were slower to shift were given time and patience instead of condemnation. Astrid established a council of her own, not of elders, but of representatives from every aspect of pack life. Warriors, healers, scholars, hunters, even the Omega wolves who'd always been at the bottom of the hierarchy. Every voice mattered. Every perspective had value. She also began investigating the legend of the white wolf more deeply. If she was truly touched by the moon goddess, marked for some greater purpose, she wanted to understand what that purpose was. Elder Runa, who'd recognized her true nature first, became her mentor in the old ways. The texts speak of the white wolf as a harbinger of change. You emerge when the packs have strayed from their true path, when tradition has become oppression and strength has become cruelty. Your role is to guide them back to balance. But the texts also contained warnings. The white wolf's power was immense, but it came with a price. Such wolves burned bright but brief, their lives often cut short by the intensity of their own gifts. They sacrificed themselves for their packs, again and again, until there was nothing left. Astrid read those passages with a chill running down her spine. Am I destined to die young then? Is that the price of this power? Elder Runa's eyes were sad. Every prophecy is subject to interpretation. Perhaps in the past, white wolves died young because they saw no other way to save their packs. But you, Astrid, you have something they didn't. You have allies. You have pack members who value you not just for your power but for yourself. Maybe this time the story ends differently. As winter approached, bringing the longest nights of the year, Astrid stood on the high ridge overlooking Valdemar. Below her, the pack's territory sprawled out, dotted with warm lights from homes and gathering halls. Her pack. Her responsibility. Her purpose. Scotty stirred in her mind. Are you content with what we've built? Content. Well, there's still so much to do. So many packs still clinging to the old ways. So much injustice to fight. But Astrid smiled. I'm satisfied. We took our pain, our rage at being condemned, and we transformed it into something better. We proved that being cast out doesn't define your worth. That being different doesn't make you defective. We proved we are exactly who we were meant to be. And that, perhaps, was the real lesson of the white wolf. Not that power comes to those who wait, or that justice always prevails, or even that prophecies are destined to be fulfilled. The lesson was simpler, more fundamental, more human. You are not defined by others' inability to see your worth. You are not limited by their narrow definitions of value. And you are certainly not obligated to shrink yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant to hold you. The council condemned her as wolfless. They called her defective, worthless, a stain on her bloodline. They chained her with silver and sentenced her to death. And then she shifted into the legendary white wolf and changed everything. Astrid threw back her head and howled into the winter night. All across Valdemar, her pack answered. Not because they feared her. Not because she compelled them. But because they chose to. Because she had shown them a better way. Because she had proven that mercy and power could coexist, that strength and compassion were not opposites but complements. The white wolf had awakened, and the world would never be the same. As the moon rose high above the snow-covered forest, Astrid made a silent vow. To every wolf like her, every outcast, every individual deemed unworthy by those too blind to see their true value, your time is coming. Your power is real. And when you finally shift, when you finally reveal your true self to a world that tried to diminish you, you will shine so bright that they'll have no choice but to see. Not because you need their validation, but because you finally see yourself. And that, in the end, is the only shift that truly matters.